JayZ sat down with GQ this week. First interview in nearly a decade, and he didn't come to talk music. He came to defend the most persecuted minority in America: billionaires. Right out of the gate, asked about being called a capitalist, he treated the word like a slur, looked the world in the eye and said,
I didn't take advantage. I didn't get here by taking advantage of people. I didn't take it. No one. That's not my reputation. That's not what I do. I didn't get here by taking advantage of people or taking advantage of, the loopholes in the system.
Now that's not a lie. That's performance art. That's the kind of high-level gaslighting you can only afford when your private jet has its own zip code. Today, we're going to walk through that statement, slowly, like a crime scene, just to make sure we're not doing the filthy rich dirty. Let's get into it. Let's start at the origin story. Marcy Projects, the crack era, or as we call it now, the good old days. JayZ has spent 30 years selling us on the hustler's prayer. And look, we're not here to shame the come up. We understand the context, but let's strip the baseline away for a second. Selling crack to your neighbors isn't getting by. It's extracting the last bit of equity from a dying community to fund your own exit strategy. You didn't lift the block. You used it as a launching pad and watched it sink in the rear view. And here's the part that's almost poetry. He told us, in his own words, on his own records. He rapped about it, packaged it, and sold it back to the same communities that he left behind. On a certain level, you have to give him credit for having the audacity to cash the same check twice. Something tells me Cypher from The Matrix would absolutely be a Roc-A-Fella fan. The man who took the red pill and then sold it back to the hood. See, most people, when they make it out, feel the weight of that. Jay wrote a verse about it and called it a legacy. At level 1, he left the community behind. Then we get to the business. Roc-A-Fella Records. 3 men at a table. JayZ, Dame Dash, and Biggs Burt. The face, the mouth, and the heart. A triumvirate of Trill, if you will. Building an empire from nothing. They didn't have a seat at the table, so they built their own. Fast forward 20 years later. One of them is a 3-time billionaire defending his honor on a GQ magazine cover. Another one, he's not doing so well. Because after JayZ's hostile takeover of the brand, U.S. Marshals just seized Dame Dash's share in the company they built together just to satisfy an $800,000 debt. Now, I'm not here to defend Dame Dash. There were more trash bag humans at Roc-A-Fella Records than an inflatable tube-man sale. But the math is what it is. $800,000. That's a rounding error on JayZ's quarterly tax return. That's the kind of money Jay loses in his couch cushions at one of his houses. Same table, same hunger, same dream, very different addresses. In Jay's world, loyalty has an expiration date, and it's printed right next to your net worth. So at level 2, he left his partners behind. But let's hear it for New York, because the reasonable doubt of his exploitation catalog, Brooklyn itself. He took the whole Son of Brooklyn brand, 30 years of credibility, every lyric, every shout out, everywhere Brooklyn at, and monetized the zip code. He became the face of the Barclays Center project, stood on that stage, promised the community affordable housing, local jobs, a piece of the future they built with their own culture. What they got was luxury condos, displaced families, and a Shake Shack. And the moment the developers had what they needed, the moment his Brooklyn credibility had done its job, JayZ sold his stake and walked. And he didn't bring Brooklyn with him. He sold Brooklyn to the highest bidder and kept the change. So at level 3, he left the culture behind. So when a man with that resume, that specific rung-by-rung resume, sits down in a custom suit and a too big beanie and tells you that he's never exploited anyone to get here, he's not lying to us. He's too smart for that. He's lying to himself. Because at a certain altitude, the climb has to be reframed as merit. The myth of a self-made man stops being a story you tell the public and starts being the story you need to tell yourself. The partners you outmaneuvered become the weight you couldn't carry. The neighborhood you sold becomes progress. He's not the villain in his story. He's the hero who survived. And maybe that's the thing about becoming a billionaire that nobody tells you. You don't just buy the mansion and the jet. You buy a new version of your own history. Because every true capitalist will tell you the same thing. You can't make an omelet without cracking a few eggs. They just never mention that it's never their yolk that hits the pan. The question isn't whether JayZ exploited people to get here. The question is, at what billion do you finally lose the ability to feel the bodies you stepped on to get there? I want to know, what's that number for you? Drop it in the comments, and if you like this video, please make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel. It really helps us grow. Peace.
And I just see the world for what it is, not for what I want it to be. I'm a realist.